Good morning, everyone. What a pleasure. Good Lord. Friends here, many friends, some new faces, always welcome. It's terrific. It's terrific. I look forward to this every year, and I hope the tradition continues as well. But I've come here to talk about my friend and friend to many of you I know, William John Collis, Bill to his friends, who was born on the 2nd of July 1953 and left us on the 20th of July 2023. Our friend, colleague and sometime mentor, Bill was in many ways the perfect English gentleman, urbane, witty, confident and competent. Everybody relaxed when they knew that Bill was taking care of things. He was so British, but it may surprise some of you to hear that he was born in Berlin while his father was working there. Back in England, Bill was privately educated and then went on to read chemistry at Oxford University, graduating in 1974. As well as being a scientist, Bill was an accomplished and fluent computer programmer. Since childhood, deeply interested in nuclear physics. He told me it was nuclear physics books rather than comics that actually enthralled him as a little kid. Yeah. After graduating, he worked as a programmer at other places, including Big Blue, IBM. Indeed, some of his colleagues from IBM have been in touch with me to express their sadness at his loss because they retained friendship for many years after he left. For most of his working life, however, though, Bill was a freelance programmer and a systems analyst, living very happily in Italy, a country he loved for its beauty, culture, and I think wine. He always liked to, he was a connoisseur and very knowledgeable, actually, what's known properly as an oenophile, which is not a compliment necessarily, always. Bill married Elsa Mckubre, and together they had 2 sons. Although they subsequently divorced, Elsa and Bill always remained good friends. In fact, Elsa visited him almost every day during the last few months of his life. One of Bill's sons is now a sommelier in a very fancy restaurant in Switzerland, and the other is a senior manager for Ryanair. As well as work, family, and the IWAHLM-16, Bill was very interested in speleology, the study of cave systems, and he visited and explored many with his fellow enthusiasts. His last caving trip, in fact, was to Spain in 2022, and sadly I only know that because I intercepted an email from the caving group saying, "Come on, Bill, are you coming with us?" Working quietly in the background, Bill also mentored, and this is very important, mentored new entrants to the field of LENR, and he used his network of friends and colleagues to solve problems, disseminate new ideas, and create new opportunities. We should all reflect on the fact that without Bill's charm, humour, sweat, and persistence, and perhaps wine, the IWAHLM-16 would not be the vigorous and growing society that we inherited from him. I've lost someone who over the last 10 years has become a good friend. I miss him, and I always will. But more importantly, we have collectively lost a champion, someone who fought for our science without deviating or doubting. Bill was, in a very unpretentious way, a remarkable man, whose dedication and example we should not forget. Be sure to raise a glass in his memory at the gala dinner, and please leave a little drop of wine in your glass. The angels share, they call it, when you do. Thank you very much. We now have a video, by the way, that Mike Mckubre sent. Yeah.
I learned of Bill's cancer around the same time mine was diagnosed. His suffering and rapid decline struck me particularly personally. I regret not visiting him at the end and thanking him in person for his very major contributions to our field. I believe he was underappreciated. If he's listening now, thank you, Bill. God bless. Bill provided technical inputs to our field, but his major contributions, which were unique and indispensable, were his willingness and ability to roll up his sleeves and put organizations together. The first of Bill's organizations that I very much appreciated and enjoyed were the ASTI conference series, which later became the international workshops on anomalies and hydrogen-loaded metals where you are now sitting. I'm sorry not to be there with you. Bill's workshops were interpolated between the ICCFs, nicely filling the void in a sometimes 18 or even 24-month gap between the more formal international conferences. They were also very much European and in the early days Italian. The essence of creative, collaborative science is communication. Conferences and workshops are crucial. Bill encouraged a communal workshop atmosphere. Attendees were well fed and watered in beautiful, isolated environs. We were constrained to spend long hours together in this environment. No question need go unaddressed, since the person with the answers could not escape the questioner. That model worked brilliantly, and Bill's workshops, especially in the early days, were some of the most exciting and productive that I've experienced. I also met and made friends there that lasted a lifetime. The Truffle series started with sponsorship from a well-known Italian auto manufacturer. A small group were invited, all expenses paid, to a quaint villa in deepest Piedmont, within easy driving distance from Asti. This was known as the Truffle Conference, as a prize of a head-sized truffle was offered to the most noteworthy cold fusion researcher of the year. Jan Kucherov was the first awardee, and I remember that Akito Takahashi was a later recipient. These workshops featured the giants of the field, and I was honored and delighted to be included. The fathers of our field, Stan and Martin, were there, together with the illuminati of the Italian cold fusion community, Giuliano Preparata, Franco Scaramuzzi, Tullio Bressani, and others. I'm not sure what Bill's role was in this first Truffle conference. Several more were held in the same or similar surroundings. With his now familiar constructive zeal, Bill assumed the role of organizer and made sure that we attendees were treated very well. As one expects in Italy, the meals were sumptuous and delicious, and the wine excellent and abundant, all due to Bill. I remember one banquet comprising 7 courses of truffle dishes, from salad to dessert and everything in between. After this, I never thought about truffles in the same way. As a prize, truffles proved impractical. Following Giuliano's untimely and very unfortunate departure in April 2000, Bill took the leadership role in raising funding to design and strike a number of preparata medals to be distributed. He also assumed oversight of a small group of reviewers to identify the person deemed most technically worthy to receive the preparata medal at the next workshop. One constraint was that the recipient needed to accept the award in person. In this way, the person deemed technically most capable that year was available at the conference for discussion. Truffle evolved to ASTI, but this was also outgrown. Under Bill's direction, with the assistance of a very small group, the ASTI workshop evolved into a more focused, more formal and larger conference. That you have reached number 16 is a testament to Bill's stewardship and tenacity. Again, well done, Bill. It is fitting that this is his memorial workshop. Partly because of his demonstrated skill in organizing these conferences and their technical success, Bill was invited to be a member of the International Advisory Committee at ICCF 12 in Yokohama in 2005. The IAC is the body of mostly ex-chairpersons who control the site selection and tenor of the ICCFs. ICCF 12 was the first to be organized under the auspices of a new organization, the International Society for Condensed Matter Nuclear Science. There is some history here that exemplifies Bill's contributions. 3 ICCFs earlier, at ICCF 9 in Beijing, Professor Li assigned his IAC the task of creating a more accurate and a descriptive name for our field. After a lot of discussion amongst the perhaps 15 members of the IAC, the consensus, collective, possibly unanimous view after a dozen or more trials and votes was Condensed Matter Nuclear Science, CMNS, as an overall name for the field of study in which we are engaged. At the following conference, ICCF 10 at MIT in 2003, Peter Hagelstein at his IAC meeting expressed his vision for a Journal of Condensed Matter Nuclear Science, JCMNS, and an international society, ISCMNS. Task leaders were selected, but 2 people stepped up and took organizational roles. As we now know well, Jean-Paul Barbarian for the journal and Bill Collis for the society. Neither was an easy task, and both men worked tirelessly to succeed, and did so remarkably well, for which we should all be eternally grateful. Bill established a presence on the IAC and in the ICCF series as well as in his own workshop series. At ICCF 14 in Washington, D.C. in 2008, Bill made a bid to hold ICCF 15 in Italy. In the closest and only secret ballot in IAC history, Bill was narrowly outbid by Vittorio Violante, representing ENER. But Bill was not defeated. He rebid at ICCF 21 and was awarded chairmanship of ICCF 22. He organized a splendid and memorable conference in Assisi in 2019. I have a few words to say in closing. I miss Bill, his good cheer, his camaraderie, his focused energy, his innovation and imagination. I miss you all, the greatest group of people I ever worked with. Please enjoy the workshop in Bill's name and work together to complete our task so that his name and ours will never be forgotten.